This is the LG C2. Let's take a look. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the new LG C2. I'm going to go over 10 things that are new and give you my first impressions. Now this is the 48-inch version, and there are some fairly significant differences between the different sizes. So I've got the C2 that I could first get my hands on so I could give you this video as soon as possible, and that is the 48-inch. Now the most significant difference between all the different sizes are the stands. We have this new stand on the 55-inch, 65-inch and 77-inch. There are also these legs on the 42-inch, which that is also new. We didn't have a 42-inch last year. And the stands on this 48-inch and the 83-inch are both fairly reminiscent of last year's stands. The one we have on our 48-inch is this lovely black dark grey style stand, and I think it looks awesome. Now the back of the C2 on most sizes is also very different from last year. However, the 48-inch is very similar, almost identical. In fact, the only obvious difference that I can see is the little nodule on the bottom for the IR sensor, and I think that's because of the new hands-free voice control. I'm going to get onto that in a minute. As before, we have support for a VESA mount on the back, so we can wall mount it. However, for this video, we're going to be using the stand. If you are planning on wall mounting, the measurements are 30 by 20 centimeters. Well, what about connectivity? Well, we have a LAN port at the back, an optical audio out. We have two USB ports and an IR blaster, which is new. Obviously, we have our antenna and satellite cables and one of our 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. On the side, we have an additional USB and 3 HDMI 2.1 ports. Now that we have the TV ready, we can power it on and set it up. But before we do, what else is new on the LG C2? Okay, so not only is there new stuff on the outside, but there's a whole lot of new stuff on the inside. One of those things being LG's new A9 Gen 5 processor. It's a neat little snappy thing that powers tons of new features, and it also improves navigation and some of the AI picture settings. So when you're setting up the C2, you have to go through these menus to set it up the way you like it. This gives us options like the AI picture and sounds modes that enhance details on faces and create virtual surround sound. Now I will go into things like sound and picture quality when I do my full review. Once we're done, we're thrown into WebOS and we can start to play with the TV, picture settings and apps. But there are a couple of new features to mention here. We now get profiles where we can sign into our own personal profile and switch between profiles depending on who's watching the TV. This enhances how you can personally use the TV, and it means if you have a family member or a roommate, they're not going to be filling up your TV with all of their rubbish. Now I'm going to do a deep dive into that feature in another video, so do subscribe to see that. LG have also taken the hands-free voice control from last year's G1 and they rammed it into the C2. Hi LG, dim the screen.
The screen has become darker by 1 level.
And this means that you can control your TV without a remote, which is incredibly useful, especially if you're like me and your remotes tend to go missing for days on end. And they turn up days later smelling of cigarettes and alcohol and shame. No, that was someone else. The commands are what you would expect. Change channel, volume, open different sources. How good is it? Well, it's not the most responsive voice assistant out there. It's not quite as good as something like an Amazon Echo Dot. And like with any smart assistant, do bear in mind it's going to take time to get used to it and to get to know what it's like and how it works. It is useful if you don't have a remote, but as soon as the remote is in sort of grabbing distance, it is much easier just to grab that and use that, or just pressing the mic button on that and talking into that than it would be to have to say hi LG before every single command. Now also we do have a new room to room mode. Now this can be a very useful feature for people if you're lucky enough to have two 2022 LG TVs. If you can tick that box, you'll be able to use this feature. Unfortunately I can't tick that box right now, so I won't be able to show it to you, but basically what it does, if you're watching TV or certain content on one TV and you want to move into another room, you you can get the TV to stream it to the other TV. And this also works for content put in via HDMI. So you could have your cable box in one room and stream that to a TV in your bedroom. That is incredibly useful. So what is the picture actually like? Well, it is incredible. And I mean, last year's C1 was incredible. And the C10 was incredible. In fact, all of LG's OLEDs always have incredible picture. The real difference here is that the LG C2 has the Evo panel. That was previously on last year's G series TVs. Now the Evo panel improves the brightness of the TV. Now this TV, from first impressions, does feel a lot brighter from last year. However, the 42-inch and the 48-inch aren't going to benefit as much from the Evo panel because of the high pixel ratio that we get on these smaller screens. Now that being said, LG have also added new algorithms, and that should be able to push the brightness higher again. So now I have managed to boot up my Xbox on the C2, and it is incredible just how good it looks. I've played a few different games, and it is definitely still the best way to be playing console games. With 120Hz support for VRR, FreeSync and G-Sync, it is awesome. Now, I actually personally preferred gaming on the 48-inch to the 55-inch because I just felt like you were just more focused on what was on the screen as opposed to it being everywhere. Now, that should hopefully show for people who are looking at buying the 42-inch. I imagine that's going to be a very, very popular machine. Now, this does get us on to our new Game Optimizer menu. It's basically a quick settings menu for game mode. It gives you information as to what frequency you're running at and what different mode you're in. And one of the new modes on this is sports mode. So it's specifically tailored to enhance your experience while playing sport games. And last but by no means least is the new picture-in-picture mode. Now, it has been missing on recent LG TVs, but it is back. Now, the only unfortunate thing with this is that it looks like it's not 100% ready. There wasn't really many apps that I could get actually working with this, so I think that's going to be something, as more and more people buy these TVs, should be rolled out later in an update. But it's nice to see that the framework for that feature is there. And do bear in mind, this TV is new. Other sizes still aren't available and you can only pre-order. Now, as I make more videos on this LG C2, you should be able to get to them here, but do subscribe and ring that bell so that when those videos get up, you can be the first to watch them. Thank you very much for watching. Whoop!